Now, we always want to give you guys uplifting news of the day, especially in these isolation times. But sometimes there's news that we just can't ignore and news that we should not ignore. And that's what's happening in Minneapolis right now as people protest the killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police.
Yeah, so there are some scenes playing out in the city as residents protest this killing. Everyone has seen the video of George pleading for his life, saying he can't breathe, as an officer keeps his knee on George's neck for 7-8 minutes after George is already handcuffed and on the ground. This happened in broad daylight as 3 other officers stood by, and bystanders who were, of course, filming it pleaded for the cop to let him breathe.
Yesterday, law enforcement had a press conference. They say that they still need more evidence to decide if they're going to press charges. County attorney suggested that there is evidence that does not support criminal charges for the officers.
Which is dumbfounding, but celebrities are as outraged as everyone else. Janelle Monáe, Ice Cube, Sia, Kim Kardashian, Demi Lovato, Justin Bieber, Missy Elliott have all posted on social media. Dwayne Johnson wrote on Instagram, "Past few days, I've been stunned trying to make sense of George Floyd's death. This is our ongoing disease. These officers will be charged. I'm positive of that, held accountable. But then where's the greater accountability, the leadership to healing, more importantly, the leadership to equality? We ultimately win when we all normalize equality."
Beyonce posted George's image on her website, simply writing, "Rest in power, George Floyd." LeBron James shared the meme that's been widely shared of the officer kneeling on George's neck beside Colin Kaepernick kneeling on the football field. And LeBron wrote, "Do you understand now? Or is it still blurred to you?"
Yeah, and Viola Davis wrote, "This is what it means to be Black in America. Tried, convicted, killed for being Black. Rest in peace, George Floyd." And Madonna wrote, "The most sickening, heartbreaking thing I've seen in a long time. This officer knew he was being filmed and murdered him with arrogance and pride. This has to stop. Will it ever end? I pray to God it does one day. Until then, F the police." Yeah, I said it. I'm not interested in being PC. I'm interested in justice.
Lady Gaga posted the contact info for the Minneapolis mayor and district attorney, writing, "My heart breaks for George Floyd, his family, and for the people in Minneapolis. Murder is murder. Cops are also citizens. The same rules should apply to them. This is absolutely horrific, and if the mayor and DA do not step up, it sets a poor example for this entire country."
Yeah, so The View talked about it yesterday while John Boyega went on Instagram Live to defend his tweet saying he hates racists, while Chance the Rapper got emotional at a rally in Chicago. This is from HLN.
I saw that video this morning, and it really f***ed me up, to be honest. And even as I'm speaking to you right now, my heart is racing really fast because, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of people look at me as a person that has money, that has influence, that has power, that doesn't deal with a lot of issues. But I still have PTSD from my run-ins with officers. I've had knees in my back.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
hate racists with a passion. And for people to have this, and I hate racists, and you feel like now you want to come and be showing yourself, and you think that someone like me is going to back down. You're very, very mad. It's very, very important at this time that we ignore ignorance, and we ignore people. Sorry, my lips are dry. We ignore people that come through and try to make these situations what they're not.
I actually had a moment this week where I had to call Whoopi before the show saying, I just don't know if I can do this today. And that I've never done that on the 3 years I've been on this show. So I can't imagine how people who are out of work and seeing these kind of videos are feeling. And I just hope for leadership with legislators in Minnesota, which we are obviously not getting on the national level.
I have to agree, you guys. I mean, you know, here's the thing. I believe it's going to get better because it has to. I'm not going to sit by for very much of this anymore. I don't think any of us are. So once we inspire each other, we inspire other people to get our behinds in gear, because this is not going to change unless we change it.
Yeah, so Ann says, it's murder plain and simple. Umar says, I just can't comprehend what we are doing and how we're able to tolerate such kind of hatred and misery. Policy that posted how appalled my hubby, an officer, was about the actions. They replies I got blaming officers as a whole was deeply, sadly disturbing. And I think that's absolutely true. Like, I think this isn't all police, absolutely not. But I think it's very important at this point for every police officer out there to say something publicly. Because some of the time when we've had these things, police forces get very silent. They want to protect their own. This is not a circumstance, and all these circumstances are not things that you should be keeping silent about. You need to speak up publicly, because it's not the entire police force as a whole, but there's so many circumstances over and over again of this happening that, if you're a police officer and you're appalled, I think you need to speak out about it too.
It's hard on a day like today to smile and be happy and talk about this sort of news that we talk about. I'm finding it personally very, very difficult to do so. The idea that someone like, let's say John Boyega, one of the people that we're talking about, has to defend when he says that he hates racists is ridiculous to me. Like, this is something that we should be ending, all of us together. The idea of racism and racists in general, it's ridiculous. And the mayor of Minneapolis had said in one of his earlier press conferences, he said on Wednesday that he is looking to press charges against this officer. Like, this is something that has to happen. Like, these are things that need to happen. What did people expect was going to happen when an officer of the law kills a man in the street? What did they think was going to happen? And I feel for the people of Minneapolis, and I feel for the businesses, and also the people that have all the pain. Like, there's so much pain going through there right now. Anyway.
Yeah, Simone says these good cops need to speak up now because silence is the enemy at this point. So then there's the whole thing, because I think part of the reason that people are so frustrated is that there's just no leadership. Like, no one's doing anything. We've seen this happening over the past 3.5 years. And of course, there's racism in America. It's been there since the very beginning. But obviously, Donald Trump has very much stoked those fires of racism. And we've seen in the past week, I think this is really a powder keg moment, because in the last, 2 weeks, we had Ahmaud Arbery, killed in broad daylight. And just the beginning of this week, we had Christian Cooper, bird watching in Central Park, and a woman tries to weaponize his race against him because he asked her to put a dog on his leash. And we just don't see the leaders doing anything about it. So Trump's kind of been weighing in on this. He called the looters thugs last night, and then he's tweeted this morning, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. So Taylor Swift is one person who has responded to him on Twitter. We don't have the graphic up because it was just so recent. But Taylor tweeted, after stoking the fires of white supremacy and racism your entire presidency, you have the nerve to feign moral superiority before threatening violence. When the looting starts, the shooting starts, we will vote you out in November. So this is something that he does it very subtly sometimes. Because even remember a few weeks ago when a lot of states were under the stay-at-home orders, and he was tweeting things like "Liberate Michigan." So you had white people with their Confederate flags going with their big machine guns and AK or AR-15s go to the state capitol, and police were doing nothing about that, just letting the people do it, or people on a California beach yelling in police faces. And he was actually retweeting that stuff, saying these people are patriots. But when it comes to black people, he just doesn't care on the same level. So he's always been that person. I mean, Charlottesville as well, the idea where, Nazis are walking down the street and he's saying there's good people on both sides. So I think that's what people are so frustrated. There's just no leadership. There's no one doing anything at all. So what can we do? We have to do something. Absolutely, looting is not the greatest thing to be doing. I mean, let's be clear, Target's going to be fine. I know people, work in that place, and, people, are going to be out of work for a little bit, but Target's going to be fine. But I mean, black churches are burned all the time, and that's more of a struggle. So looting is not the answer in any kind of way. It's not justified, but I get the frustration that people have. What are we supposed to do? You're not doing anything about this stuff.
Well, people speaking up and not avoiding it is a big thing. People talking about the importance of the moment that we're in. And again, like you had just said it, and everyone's saying it. It's not just a moment that we're in. This is the history of that country. And this happens more times than is reported. Much more times than we see in the news. This is just the latest one that got caught on camera.
Now people film it, right? Yeah, people film it now.
So I know they need proper leadership, unifying leadership that can push people forward in the right direction. This is not it.
Yeah, Cynthia says, how many more of us have to die before a change that is coming? Yeah, this is a concept we're telling our black men beware, as well as our young black women beware of those to protect our civilization. But when are we going to get the assistance that we need? That change is coming. So hopefully this is a huge powder keg moment that stuff actually changes. But still, there's no charges laid, which I don't get what they're waiting for. They said yesterday they need more video evidence. Like, what more video evidence do you need? So hopefully,
and what do they expect is going to happen if charges aren't laid?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully something happens. Yeah.